Today I want to read from the Chick Life Cycle book, and this is by Elizabeth Bennett, and it's published by Scholastic. And in this book, it's a little different than some of the other books that we've read. This is a nonfiction book, which is a book that has information in it, that does not have a story, and that usually has some features that we call text features that tell us or give us clues that this is a nonfiction book. So the first thing is that we'll notice that there's a lot of pictures. This is the title. You might notice that there is something called a table of contents or the contents, and that simply tells us the information that we're going to learn about and what page you're going to find it on. And it's really neat because nonfiction books don't need to be read in order. You don't have to read page 4 first and then page 10. You could start all the way at the end. You just have to look at the table of contents and figure out what interests you the most. At the very end, there's something called a glossary. A glossary is just a fancy word for a dictionary, which just gives some information about some important words that you might come across. So for example, let's look here. Egg tooth. So here it tells you what the word is, a fancy word that you might not know, how to pronounce it, egg tooth, and then what that word means, a sharp bump on the end of a newborn chick's beak. So glossary is just a fancy place where you find tricky words and what they mean. Now you're also going to see, we've talked about the pictures you might see some labels. You might see some headings. Headings are where you sort of get an idea of what that section's going to be about. You might have pictures and labels. You might have some words that are in bold. Now, we've talked about bold writing, but usually what bold means is that this word is important. This one also, because it's in red, links back to our glossary. There's that word breed. So that's the cool thing about nonfiction books. Oh, this is a really good page for labels. So we see all the parts of a chicken. So what we're doing right now is a bit of a picture walk, isn't it? There's a heading. This is a little pull-out fact. Sometimes there's little windows or little areas where there's special facts and they're just found in a box. You will find different diagrams with labels. Diagrams are just fancy word for pictures. There's another label. There's a bold word, incubation. You can tell that because it's dark and the writing or the lettering is thick that it's an important word. There's some more facts. And so you can tell from those clues that this is a nonfiction book. You might also find in some books that there are maps or other diagrams or other kinds of information like graphs that might tell you more. So let's go ahead and read some of this book. Chapter 1, Chicks and Chickens. Cheep, cheep, cluck, cluck. This book will tell you all about chicks and chickens. This is a rooster, a hen, and chicks. A baby chicken is called a chick. An adult female chicken is called a hen, and an adult male chicken is called a rooster. These pictures show 7 breeds of chicken. A breed is a fancy word for a type of chicken. How is each one different? So if you wanted to press pause, you could probably take a look at each of those ones, have someone help you read the words, and then compare them. And you'll notice that there's different colors, there's different feet, there's different crests on their heads, there's different types of feathers, long and short. There are lots of different ways that you could compare how each is different. Not all chickens look the same. There are more than 100 breeds of chickens in the world. All the chickens in one breed have feathers with the same color and pattern. So you know that they're part of that same breed or type or family because they all have the same types of feathers. Parts of a chicken. Now, my class did a little bit of talking about this before the break, but there are some funny words here, so make sure you're paying attention. And I'm going to zoom in a little here if I can. Let me see if I can do that easily. There we go. Oh, maybe too much. Let's back up. There we are. Okay. So, parts of a chicken. We've got the tail feathers. We've got the wing. We've got the comb. Now, comb is easy to remember because that's what we put through our hair, and it kind of looks like the chicken's hair, doesn't it? And then there's the beak. And then this part, this is my favorite body part of a chicken. This is called the wattle. Can you say that 3 times fast? Wattle, wattle, wattle. I love that. I just think it's such a neat little word. And then claw. So those are the parts of a chicken. Now, what you could do with your family right now is if you wanted to, you could draw a picture of a chicken and you could label the parts of a chicken yourself. So this picture shows the main parts of an adult chicken. Chickens have feathers and wings, but they cannot fly very far, and they get around mostly by walking. Both hens and roosters have red combs and wattles. Wattle, comb. But chickens do not start out looking this way. Let's learn about their life cycle to see how they grow and change. So chapter 2, an egg is laid. So the first part was really about what they look like and what they are. Now we're going to learn a little bit about their life cycle. So a life cycle is from when an animal is a baby all the way to becoming a grown-up. See this hen? She is laying an egg. Most hens lay 1 or 2 eggs a day. If the egg has been fertilized by a rooster, a chicken begins to grow inside. And so here's a fast fact. If an egg has not been fertilized, then a chick does not grow inside. These are the eggs we eat for breakfast. So we do not eat fertilized eggs. Oh, this is a very cool page. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here and we'll move along slowly. So you might have seen a little video that's part of this in our chick unit. This says inside the egg. So we're going to get a little zoom in, and this is called a cutaway. Well, they've basically looked inside of an egg to see with a special camera what's happening inside. It's very cool because you usually can't see what's happening inside the egg with your own bare eyes. So day 1 or 1 day, the tiny red dot in this egg means a baby chick will grow inside. 5 days, the chick-to-be is growing, and at this point, it's called an embryo. An embryo is the beginning of the chick, and you can see some parts of the chick beginning, and it looks pretty funky. And at day 9 or 9 days, the embryo continues to grow and change. Can you see a little eye? I want you to see if you can spot it, but I bet you can, and it's right there. And you can even see the beginning of the back, and you can see its wings beginning. It's pretty neat to see. And at 21 days, now the baby chick looks like a bird, and it is ready or almost ready to hatch. So it takes about 3 weeks or 21 days for the egg to develop into a chick. And we know that there are 7 days in a week. So 3 groups of 7 is 21. Chapter 3, time to hatch. A hen sits on her eggs until it's time for them to hatch. She keeps them nice and warm. This is called incubation. Incubation is when a hen sits on top of the eggs and keeps them warm for quite a long time, for about 21 days. The lump on a chick's beak is called an egg tooth. So you might have noticed that there's sort of an extra little hook on an egg or on a chick's beak, and that's called an egg tooth. And can you guess why it's called an egg tooth? I want you to think about it and maybe talk to somebody that you are with right now, and I want you to reflect on why might it be called an egg tooth? Probably to crack that egg open, right? So when a chick is ready to be born, it uses its egg tooth to break through the shell. Peck, peck, peck. The chick pecks small holes around the egg. Then it uses its head to push open the shell. Fast fact, chicken eggs can be white or brown. Fast fact, it takes most chicks about 5 hours to hatch from their eggs. That's quite a long time. That's like the length of a school day almost. That's a long day. That must be exhausting. The chicks keep pecking and pushing, and at last the tired chick is out of its egg. Welcome to the world. Chapter 4, growing up. So when a chick is first born, it doesn't look so cute. It's wet and it's very sticky. So here's a fast fact about that. A group of newborn chicks is called a brood. It's kind of like a crew or a bunch of kids, but it's called a brood, so you can see they're all together. Kind of like a litter of kittens, but it's not called a litter, it's called a brood. But soon the feathers dry and they become fluffy, and this yellow fluff is called down, and this will form the underlayer under the big thick feathers that we see in adult chickens. And can you imagine, or can you think of why they might have that fluffy layer of small, tiny feathers? What might that help? That's an adaptation that helps them to stay warm. So the chicks eat feed, which is a mixture of grains, and it helps them to grow strong. And the new chick explores the world with its mother and fellow chicks, and there is so much to discover. Cheep, cheep. There's a speech bubble. The little chick gets bigger and bigger, and it learns how to make a cheeping sound. This helps the chick mother find it. A 5-month-old female chicken is old enough to lay eggs. So in a few weeks, the chick sprouts feathers, so there it is, coming up through the down, and a tiny red comb and wattle. And in a few months, it will be all grown up. And wait for it, this is a funny egg joke. Excellent. Get it? Get it? Excellent. So at the very end of this book, I'm going to read you some questions, and I'm going to have you either write it in your book with a parent, or you can talk about it and think about what the answers are. So, can you name and describe 2 parts of a grown-up chicken? Why don't you pause the video and then have a chat with someone near you to see if you can remember. You can even rewind the video if you really need to. That's okay. Number 2, can you share 2 facts about a chick that is growing inside an egg? So let's think back to that life cycle. What are 2 things that we know? What do they need? And what do you remember about their different phases? Number 3, can you share 2 facts about a chick that is hatching from an egg? Can you remember that special name for the beak? You can pause the video if you need to. And number 4, can you think of 2 words to describe a chick? So a describing word is like big or tall or tiny or small or fluffy or hard or smooth or jumpy or all sorts of different words to describe animals and people and things. So choose 2 words that would describe a chick. And do you know that you can also use colors to describe the chick or textures? So pause the video and I want you to have that conversation. And here are a few jokes that you may or may not find funny, but I kind of do because it's been a long time here inside. Bonus chicken jokes. What did the egg do when the hen told it a joke? Answer, it cracked up. Why did the chick's beak break? Because it was cheap. Get it, get it? We would normally spell cheap, C-H-E-A-P, but because that's the sound that a chick makes, it's cheap. Get it, get it? Thank you so much for listening. I hope that you learned something. And if you want to roll this into your writing today, this can be your science lesson for today. There's lots of ways to reflect on this lesson, and I hope that you enjoyed it.